Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this episode, we're frog fishing. We're fishing over these mats here on Lake Chickamauga. This bite hasn't really turned on super good yet, but it's getting there. The grass is looking really good, and so this bite is just fixing to turn on. But today, to prepare yourself for frog season, I wanted to show you how I retrieve a hollow body frog in these grass mats. So I'm going to show you a couple retrieves that are pretty much the core of my frog fishing. Now there's a lot that goes into a successful day of frog fishing, but these two retrieves, you know, just kind of mixing them up and customizing them based on the conditions and the type of mat you're fishing, man, this is the way to go. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, so the first retrieve that I'm going to show you, there's really just two basic ones. And the first one I'm going to show you is a little bit shorter hops with the frog, okay? So essentially I'm going to cast it out there, all right? And I'm going to use downward little pumps with the rod tip to make that frog just hop, you know, 3 or 4 inches at a time, but fairly quickly, you know. The biggest thing that you want to kind of adjust is, you know, how long of a pause do you need to, allow that frog to have. You know, sometimes you really need to let that frog sit over the best areas on the mat. And other days, you're just pumping that frog back to the boat with those short little hops all the way. You know, sometimes the fish just want that thing to continue moving all the way back to the boat. So that's kind of the big thing to pay attention to with this retrieve, is you need to pay attention to how long of a pause or lack thereof do you need to implement in the cast. So short little pops of the rod tip, that's the first retrieve that I use. I really like this retrieve overall. I think it's probably my overall favorite. However, it's really good when the grass mats are very, very thick. Say the algae is super dense, and if you're having a hard time, making that indentation or leaving that trail behind the frog, this retrieve really can allow you to dig into that grass a little bit more. It just seems to be better for thicker grass mats. Now the next retrieve is, you know, it's similar, but you're essentially, instead of hopping it, you know, hopping the frog 3 or 4 inches at a time, you're essentially dragging it, but longer drags. So it's like you're pulling it about a foot, maybe 1.5 feet at a time, and just kind of reeling in the slack in between. All right, so just a pull technique. Again, just like with that popping technique, you want to mix up how long of a pause that you put in there. And the reason pauses are important is sometimes you'll come up to, maybe there's a hole in the grass where a fish had previously busted through to get something. Or there's maybe a little patch of hydrilla, or not hydrilla, but algae. You can see out here, there's all these little patches of algae. Stopping on those high percentage little spots where you have all those great ingredients, that is a really, really good way to get a bite sometimes. But again, sometimes the fish don't want pauses. Sometimes they just want to react to the bait as it's moving across. So you can do the same thing we did with the short fast hops with the dragging technique. You can just drag it all the way back to the boat. But the key is just kind of those foot and a half pulls, all right? So those are really, I mean, it's really that simple. The biggest part about frog fishing isn't necessarily the retrieve most of the time. It's about finding the right mat. But once you get on the right stuff, which has the right ingredients, and you've got the fish, these 2 retrieves are guaranteed to catch you fish on a frog. So anyways, guys, just wanted to show you those very simple techniques that I use to catch fish on a frog. Let me know if there's any other way that you like to fish a hollow body frog over these grass mats like this. I really do want to hear your opinion on that. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. Other than that, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm going to see you out on the water. Trust the process.